Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the pre-market analysis that we open to the public every single Wednesday. Thanks for joining us this morning. I'm going to give you guys a little bit of a breakdown of what's going to happen after I'm done speaking here. So once I'm done speaking, Beth's going to come on, give you a breakdown of the macro environment, what's going on there, any news events that happen over the course of the evening that are going to be happening either today or in the near future as well, going through any of the bigger picture items, commodities, ETFs, big caps, etc. that makes sense to be looking at in that regard. Once that's done, I'm going to come back on. We're going to be going through some of the names that are gapping up, gapping down. We'll talk about the news associated with those gap up, gap downs, build an action plan for them, go through the technicals as well, and as well go through the SPY and the FANG, the VIX, QQQs, IWM. So we'll take a look basically across the board of what's going on from a technical perspective. After that's done, I'll pass it over to South Beach. He'll break down what he's looking at from an analyst point of view, individual point of view, and macro point of view. And then basically we'll be ready for a quick little recap before the open. So without further ado, I'm going to go ahead, pass over to Beth, and I will talk to you guys shortly. Beth, if you're ready, it's all yours.
I am indeed, sir. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, my friends. Welcome. We market here at Spartan Trading. This is what we do every day here. Wednesdays, it's open to the public. Share thoughts, ideas, etc. Welcome to new members as well. Let's get going here. All right, so overnight, China kicks in manufacturing PMI first time since I think last year that they've actually printed a decline. Interesting, right? We have some inflation numbers coming out. This is Indonesia, India. We have market PMI. I continue to look at India because obviously it's important in terms of manufacturing, etc. And with the Delta variant, I'm looking at supply chain disruptions. And this would be one of the places that we would see a supply chain, as well as Indonesia in that Pacific Rim, as some companies basically have decided to get out of China and basically open up manufacturing portals in different areas in that region. Okay, retail sales out of Germany, guys. Wow, this is a big miss, right? Wow, year over year as well as a month over month, and they're very good at forecasting. I'm really kind of shocked by this number. Something to keep an eye on for sure, right? Yet, if you look at the European area, the PMI final is, it's the final. So, what do we got? ADP. Once again, they would not, on a long weekend, be giving us unemployment numbers unless they were positive. We are entering, and we're gonna go over this concept of sell in May, yada yada yada. Quantitative easing basically blows that thought process up. If you look in terms of August, right? I mean, if you basically sold in May, well, you get the idea. All right, ISM manufacturing PMI. EIA crude, no Fed heads. We do have some 7 and 10 year buying. Okay, construction spending. See what happens, right? Okay, China. So my question has been, foreign direct investments. Now, you would think that with all of their policy changes, their strained approach in terms of regulation, that this would negatively impact foreign direct investment. Guess what? No, it didn't. This is crazy. FDI remains strong. Fascinating article. I encourage you to read it. The thought process that, oh my God, the world's coming to an end with China, and nobody's going to want to invest in it. Okay. What am I going to tell you? This is what I have to say. Not what things are not as they appear. Okay, so everybody said if they cut unemployment benefits, that they would have a direct impact on their growth. That people were on unemployment because they didn't want to work, because they were getting paid more for unemployment benefits. Well, guess what? That thought process is wrong. Limited impact on job. I think people have to understand. I don't know. I think a lot of people are retiring. It's very complex and it's not black and white. There are so many hues to this, but all I can tell you is the data shows that it has not really dramatically increased job growth. How does that happen? September, worst month. History says this time could be different. Okay. Feelings is talking about, let's do it. So here we go. Watch you, because this is how my mind thinks. What does it look like? Selling may go away, right. Last 30 years, 1980s, 1990s, 2000, 2009, right? But if you look from 2000 to 2020, okay, August is supposed to be really down, right? But it's not that way. It just doesn't work that way. And the reason why it doesn't work that way is quantitative easing. Quantitative easing. That's why. Chinese factory, oh, April 2020. I was looking for that. Thank you very much. Now they're talking about banning e-commerce companies that flout IP laws. Look, they're going to say what they're going to say, they're going to do what they're going to do. If you're going to be involved in it, this in China, you have to understand it's a lotto trade. It either works or it doesn't work, or it's a long-term investment, as in multiple years. That's simple. DD and JD, all right. Look at this, unions. You would think that China would like this. Go. I think it's amazing, right? Because to be honest with you, it's important. This is a watershed event. Okay, Europe hits COVID-19 milestone with 70% of adults vaccinated. Well, it's not the kids, right? So, look, I'm really pissed off with Gottlieb, Dr. Scott, because he's an important dude, and when he talks, it matters. Weeks ago, he said we were going to already hit the peak. Okay, it's going to be like the UK. I'm just ticked. And is he admitting that he was wrong about his analysis? No. But I think a lot of people would have avoided getting vaccinated because he says, well, we're already at the peak. You don't have to do it. Not good. So the reverse repo that we're seeing from the Fed, right? No tapering here, guys. I don't know when it starts, but this is where you would start to see it with what they're doing on the reverse repo side. Okay, this is what is going to happen here. And I don't think I don't know. This is going to go up to the court system. I'm not exactly sure how this works out. So basically they're saying that their mandate Southwest is an attack on the bargaining agreement that they had with the pilots. I don't know. I think it's a fascinating legal approach, and we'll see how things play out. This will take time as it makes its way through the court system. I don't know. Social Security, not a good look either. All right, so we want to keep an eye on this. This came out yesterday, right? And we did see so we have to keep an eye on this because I'm always looking for just supply chain disruption, but it's also a function of price points, right? If you're doing this, right, these delays, whatever, supply and demand, right? It's an economics 101. I mean, you have low supply, same demand, prices go up, right? And we're starting to see that as well. Like I say, this month will be a lot of the consumer staples that the companies have been announcing that they're going to increase price points in September. So now we're going to see that, and I suspect it's going to offset some of their shortfalls in terms of what they're paying in terms of on the commodity side, in terms of cost of goods, because of supply chain disruption. Like I said, this is economics 101. What do we got? Financials. Wow. Look at the breath. Yeah, that's kind of topping. We'll see how it plays out. All right. When this does happen, 1 year out, back testing, well, it doesn't say, but anyways, it's 90% back test that the financials are up. 3 months, 6 months, 1 year, 79 plus. You could be right 70+% of the time, right? I'm just saying. This goes back to 1953, the last time we had this event happen. 2 months, 5.3%. See, I'm just saying. But this Here, 1990 was an outlier. If you take that one out, here you go. Also watch the downside, because this could mean that there's a short-term top in place, but I don't think so. Anyways, kind of cool. Let's look at our breadth chart. Okay, so small caps, IWM is still soft on the 50 and on the 200, but the 10-day is kind of moving up, right? SPY, believe it or not, the 50. Right? XLE Energy, the 200. XLI, XLK, XLP, 50. So the 50 is where a lot of this is. Now, this is really interesting. And the reason why, and today we're going to do a deep dive on Amazon, and I will show you the nuts and bolts, the statistics, okay, the spreads that say Amazon is cheap against Fed. That's what I did, and that's what I'm going to show. Not a great heat map, but look at Bitcoin. Okay, well, you can see here, India's top dog right now, 88. Natural gas, set up Poland. Well, yeah, you didn't expect that. 2-year, WT, Taiwan, New Zealand, Portugal, Thailand. Anyways, it's pretty obvious, right? Money's coming out of industrials, REITs, and going into tech, right? Oil and gas right now in terms of this optimism heat map, and then healthcare. So the defensive type, right, that you would look at, dividends, etc. So, and here's oversold energy, according to this, is still in financials overbought. Okay. What can I say? Bonds, LQD, 5-year. Like I said, the 5-year is the bellwether with tapering. That's the one you want to focus in on. Okay. On the downside, Singapore, UK, Switzerland, a lot of Europe, right? United States is in the mid. And then you can see Chile. Well, yes. Commodities, sugar, cotton, these are staples, guys. This stuff, pricing going up on this, and this is why I keep saying you have to look at it. Are you going to say no to your cup of coffee? Starbucks, they're going to raise prices, right? I love Starbucks. Shouting it out. It's one of my fan faves. Money flows, SPY, QQQ. Where'd it come out of? No, well, you know the drill. Any put sweep on IWM that goes out to September, October, I'm shouting out that's not going to end well. All right, let's take a look at our peeps here. We got some peeps that just aren't very good, okay? But we have some peeps who are really good. All right, here's CrowdStrike buy, or BC. Let's see what it looks like on this side here, because it's 70+%. And as you can see, we have a lot of top dogs, PPL, Ambarella, right? ARD, quality peeps and peepettes. Option flows. 63.37, kind of mixed. Let's see what the actual recap looks like yesterday. Right? Tesla. This is pales in comparison to what we saw on Monday, right? So Bill, that was a couple prints on that one. Apple, still seeing it, but not a lot of money. QQQ, very light. As the week goes on, we talked about so big. BBIG, that's LFG. We're in this, some longer dated stuff, some leaks were done, right? Let's see what happens. The narrative, Robert's been posting it. I've been talking about it. This is not just something that's just a meme stock. Okay, there's actually some meat to the bones on this one. All right, let's take a look at our hype equity. The CRSO continues to scan. Oh, it just popped it down. Now Tesla, top dog, APPS. We traded this yesterday. That was fun. Of course, there's still so 5+ is what I look for. SLQT, PBM, MO, JD. All right, so this is up to date. What's going on right now? ICE, believe it or not, ICE has crazy seasonality strength, but there's nothing I could find to do it. But anyways, GME, CVS. CVS was also scanning from yesterday. Right? Kind of cool. All right, let's look at our option flows and stock flows. Like I said, I don't know why BBIG is not on here, but it's not. So this is what it looks like from yesterday, right? And you can see that the volume, stock volume, the option was still pretty high. but everything's kind of waning right now. Space though did have almost equal average shares, right? And then Tilray, I don't know what the hell. The pot stocks were scanning yesterday, and well, I don't know what to tell you. Just don't. VXN. Here we are once again, just bouncing off this. This is fascinating. So I don't know how to articulate this though, in terms of what this means. I guess it shows that hedges are still being put on the Qs, on the tech side. That's the only rationale that, I mean, and the same thing is happening with the VIX, right? It hasn't broken out the lows, and when nothing's here, this is the spread VIX VXN. So we're kind of mucking around, not doing much here, but it looks like it's going to break down here. So that means that the VIX will sell off more than the VXN, which is kind of an interesting thought process, right? That's what you would expect. All right, what do we got? Bonds. Yields are up. The 5-year, as you can see, more so. Steepening from the 5, 10, 30, right? And then if you look at the 2, 5, right? I'm sorry, this is flattening and this is steepening, right? Canada, you see Germany rates are up across the board, except in the Pacific Rim, which is what you would expect. Okay. All right, 5-year, here we are, right in the mid, nothing going on there. I really don't see anything until the next FOMC meeting. I mean, Powell did what Powell did, and God bless his little heart. I mean, he out the gate he stumbled, but the dude just knows what to do and say right now. He's very good at what he's doing, what he does. German rates, we talked about this, right? New month, and we're sitting right here at the 50% Fed, and it's the breakout box for the yields to go higher. Keep an eye on that. You know my narrative on this one. I think that overseas, this is where you want to put money. I'm waiting patiently to add to my Fez. The Delta is fantastic. It's 2023 LFG sort of thing. Futures, stocks. Up, 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 up. VIX is down, up, up, up. Lots of green, right? Nifty 50 down somewhat. Try to 8 shares down. So we continue, and I'm going to show you. All right, so the DAX is holding up where it needs to hold up, right? It's a new month anyways. Fez, I'm waiting patiently. This is where I want to add on the break of the 78.6%. So 48.40 is my alert as to when I want to add on. EFA, this should start to bounce, but you know, it's all about this. EEM, you know, that's BABA, etc. Shanghai breaking out on the weekly, notable. KWEB breaking out on the weekly, notable, right? CWEB breaking out on the daily, notable, and weekly. FXI hasn't quite broken out. Well, actually, I take that back. It's breaking out, needs to reclaim the 4106, which it is doing. That's the LFG. Okay. So on the Chinese side, it's not your imagination. Things are definitely starting to break out. Now, if you look in terms of Bobalicious, it definitely has work to be done in terms of the bear flag, etc. JD looks pretty, but Baidu's the one I like. PDD as well, double bottom. Let's see what happens there. Let's swim on the upside. Baidu, you can see this is what I want to do. I'm going to study in class today. Bang. All right. It hasn't broken out yet on the all-time highs. Amazon. So, weekly downtrend break, right? Work to be done. You can see here we have some resistance points across the board. But to be honest with you, I'm not really concerned about that. I want to talk about Amazon against FANG. Look at how it's soft against FANG, right? It's not your imagination. Amazon has lost against its other counterparts in FANG, but this is a weekly, it's trying to break out, which is absolutely super cool. Rounding bottom could be a little cup and handle sort of doodah, right? Amazon against Apple, look at this. Since 2019, look at the amount that Apple has outperformed Amazon. Okay. We're talking 50%, right? Amazon against Facebook, same thing, but Amazon's starting to reclaim here, right? Amazon against Netflix, Amazon's starting to reclaim here. So what's the moral to this story? The moral to this story is if you want to play FANG on a risk reward basis, Amazon is the cheapest one. That's the moral to the story. Right? And this is why I look at these things, so I can give you opportunities, right? In terms of best bang for your buck. And this stuff works. This is how my mind thinks, right? One thing and against another thing. All right, Google, Amazon. Well, you know the narrative here. So what are we looking for? We're looking for this to break down. It hasn't shown, so Google's the strongest, right? A FANG. So we're waiting for this to kind of come off and see how that, I mean, there's a lot of work. So this is not one that, you know, this is a tough one for Amazon. Amazon against XLK, same thing, starting to bounce, double bottom here on the weekly. You didn't know that, huh? Starting to get higher here. So Amazon is starting to outperform XLK components. Is the pivot, next pivot level, kind of cool, right? Amazon against XLY, same narrative. So you see this across the board, rounding bottom across the board. So this is the tailwind. This is the momentum that can potentially get Amazon breaking out of multi-month consolidation pattern is this sort of thing. Either it works or it doesn't work, but on a risk reward basis, this is worth the trade, is what this is saying. Amazon against Tesla, this is kind of fascinating, right? So they've been kind of going neck and neck, but as you can see, I mean, this is crazy how much Amazon has lost against Tesla, right? We'll see how it plays out. Right, so it has bounced, but now it's kind of breaking down. It has to reclaim this extension and, well, et cetera, et cetera. I want to look at a couple of things here. I've made my case on Amazon, what I'm very excited about. All right, so let's talk XRT. So I'm looking at sectors right now that I want to talk about that led the rally, all right, that have now taken over leadership to another. It's sideways consolidation. This is a multi-month, this is the monthly. So I want to keep an eye on this. I think we break out. I'm still in retail names, right? Like Nike, Dick's, et cetera, TJX, you know, and we'll see how this plays, right? Let's take a look at the Dow transports. This is really fascinating. So the Dow theory, right? You know all about that. What I'm also looking at here is, this is this TSI, trend strength indicator. I'm kind of taking it for a spin. It works really well on picking bottoms, but not so much on picking tops. But this is what I'm looking for, is a breakout on the transports. All, you know, if Tom Lee is right, then everything should rally. And we would see retail, we would see transports, et cetera, et cetera. All right, that's my story. It's a good story. Welcome once again for those of you who are joining us pre-market. It's now time for me to pass it on to Spartan. Now you're ready, sir.
Just need about 1 minute here, Beth, please.
Oh, yeah, not a problem. Okay. I also want to look at SPX here. All right. So I'm just saying that if you sold in May, right, it went away, right? So where's May 1st? Right here. So you would have missed a double-digit rally on this month. All right, the reason why I brought this up is because I have price and time. This is the weekly going back. This goes back to I believe it's 1998. Okay, but on this breakout extension. All right, so the greatest extension, going, and this, like I said, goes back quite a bit, is 28.25%. All right, and that basically gets us up to 45, let's say 4,600 for shits and giggles. Right? On a time, we had first measure move August 2nd. The next timing factor doesn't come in, believe it or not. This is the weekly for May 2022. Right? But as you can see here, a reversion to the mean. I don't know if it happens, to be honest with you, but what I'm thinking right now, if we do get a pullback, right, it probably will be to this breakout level, and that's 44, what is this? 44.60, 44.68 is what I'm thinking. Very shallow, right? But this goes to show, this is why you don't pick tops. You don't pick tops in a momentum market, number one, but you don't pick tops in quantitative easing that we've never seen. This is basically liquidity, putting money to work. This is indicative, right? This shows you this is the best game in town visually, right? You will get pullbacks. There's no question about it. You will get consolidation, no question about it. But from a Bollinger point of view, we're not extended, right? Look at how beautiful this is. It's just riding along. Yeah, we could get a pullback, like I say. And I'm thinking, you know, this 43.66 or maybe the 44, very shallow, but who knows when? You don't know. I think it's going to be the next earnings cycle that comes out, but I can't tell you for sure. Right? I just don't know. But I'm just saying that that's my story. All right, let's take a look at the dollar. Dollar thankfully came off the high here, double top. I think we really need to consolidate to move lower, but this is the dollar, right? I don't think we really get anything going on here until the next FOMC, right? And then we'll see how that plays out, right? Okay. And let's look at the Chinese yuan consolidator. This is the monthly, right? So they're not doing much with that right now. All right, so let's take a look on the commodity side. What's going on? Gold's slightly down, right? Silver's up. I really want silver to start to outperform gold. That would really be something, because that makes me think, you know, we're going to say a nice push across the board on the commodity side. Oil's up slightly, right? And you can see here, nickel, copper, corn, all down, soybean, yada, yada, yada. And then lumber, which is what we like to look at. Right? I want to take a look at cryptos, right? Let's put this up. Crypto. So we saw a move from Ethereum happening, and this kind of makes sense to me. All right, so Ethereum actually broke out on the weekly. That's just what that pop you just saw that we had overnight is because Ethereum has broken out. Now, let's take a look at Bitcoin against Ethereum. This is exactly what I wanted to see. Isn't that beautiful? This is a triangle measurable, right? From the peak to trough, 20 down to here, which is 15. So we look for 15, so move down to here, okay? But this is what we want to see. We want to see Ethereum outperform, because when Ethereum outperforms Bitcoin, believe it or not, Bitcoin, cryptos rally. That's the story, and that's why we look at this spread. All right, Bitcoin's consolidative right now, right? Still holding the breakout level, which is this level right here. 48,005. Well, maybe not. But here's Cardano. Inside flag. This is the weekly from last week. Flagging, we'll see that should start to curl up and break out some more. Right? That's not what I wanted. Nope. I guess that's it for the cryptos. XRP. Keep an eye on this one. Okay. Flagging, beautiful flag, right? See if it can break out for the upside. So this is all bullish for cryptos. Right? We want others to take leadership than Bitcoin.
All right, Beth, I'm ready to pop on.
Okie dokie. Have fun, guys.
All right, guys, morning. What's going on? Let me just pop up the screen share here. This is it. There you go. So if you guys are new to chat, Discord link was emailed to you. And if you don't see it in your email, it's most likely in your junk mail. So make sure to click on it there. And if you still don't see it, you can email the admin, and I will post those instructions in the Zoom chat in a little bit there. But just for now, I'll just let you know verbally. And then also when you do come into chat, a couple different places to go to. When you do come in, I will show you very quickly, but I won't go through those full instructions until we close down the YouTube stream. So just an FYI. All right, so let me just show you real quick. So you guys can come into Discord. It's going to look like this. First area, when you come into Discord, make sure to click on the disclaimer section, click on that, give it a read, as well as go to the new to chat information section, scroll to the very, very top, and read from the top down. Basically, you'll get an idea of how everything works, the rules, yada, 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 okay? Pre-market tickers on watch. What do we got going on today? A couple different things. Moderna, Crowd, PVH, AMBA, Plan, Skills, a lot of earnings plays today. mRNA gapping up in sympathy with the market. Crowd earnings beat EPS and revs. Year-over-year growth 69.7%. Q3 EPS lowered, and rev in line. 2021 guidance raised. I guess they were looking for perfect earnings because obviously stocks gapping down and earnings weren't that bad at all. It was actually pretty decent. PVH earnings beat, EPS and revs year-over-year growth 46.3%. Q3 guidance raised, 2021 guidance raised, stocks gapping up. Ambarella earnings beat, EPS and revs year-over-year growth 58.3%. Q3 guidance revs raised, stocks gapping up. Plan earnings beat, EPS and revs year-over-year growth 35.5%. Q3 guidance and 2021 raised on the guidance side, stocks gapping up. And lastly, skills basically was reclaiming some EMA support yesterday into the end of the day, and then now it just continues to push to the upside. So let's take a look at these names from a technical standpoint intraday. Now, the first two we're going to be looking at today are mRNA and PVH. Just going to change this back. Okay, let's take a look here, guys. mRNA and PVH. I'm just checking one thing here. There we go. Okay, mRNA. So stock is gapping up slightly here, guys. Let's do the daily chart. We've been playing this literally every single day just because of the range on it. It's always great. So my levels are pretty much all labeled. Just look at that last recent range high right there. The next two. Alrighty. So we got a little bit of a curl on the daily back to the upside, trying to reclaim short-term EMA support on the daily. 283.85 will be the pivot to the upside today. This level is able to be reclaimed. We got room for continuation on the upside into the 392.36 to 399.51. 383.85 unable to hold. We look for a pullback to 371.15. If that level breaks, that 359.62 level on the downside will be tested. Overall on mRNA, going to be leaning on the bullish side right now, looking for a continuation push higher. Let's see. I think should be testing that short term. Yeah. So we're breaking that short-term downtrend right now to the upside. Pivot's going to be a key level to get above this morning for that continuation push. But it's a good looking chart from a technical standpoint for a short-term reversal. So keep that in mind. All right, let's take a look at PVH. So PVH, nice little gap up. Let's see where we are in the morning. Oh, sorry, crowd is the next one. My mistake. Crowd, PVH and AMBAR after that. All right, let's take a look at crowd here. Crowd, a little bit of a gap down here, 260, 272, I guess is where we're at right now in the pre-market. So I guess we had a nice run up into earnings, we can say that. Wasn't perfect like expected, and because of that, a little bit of a gap down. I'm going to label some of the EMA support. Actually, you know what? Let's do the pivot instead. EMA support down here. Let's get rid of this. Let's get another pivot level. All right, let's take a look at the signature day here. I think it's a pretty standard pullback after earnings on a huge run up. So 270.276 pivot levels able to hold to get room towards 277.64. If that level breaks, further continuation towards 282.31. Unable to hold, look for a pullback towards 268.95 to the 265.29 level on the downside. Overall on crowd, going to be leaning on the bullish neutral side today. Looking for a pullback curl or any sort of basing and curl and push back to the upside again. Earnings were fine, in my opinion. If you look at the guidance, everything else was fine. Yes, it did have a huge run up in earnings, but I think we can get a little bit of a bounce because of that now after this pullback. So that's what I'll be looking for. That's mRNA and that is crowd. All right, let's take a look at the next two, PVH, Amberella. PVH, Amba. All right, let's take a look here. What do we got? So PVH, nice gap up towards the $16 level per share on the earnings, which were solid. Guidance raised, basically everything looked good in that regard. Let's see, let's go back a little bit in time. I don't think I need to go that high. Okay, that's fine. Oops. That. Let's take a look at this thing intraday here. $114.27 pivot to the upside today. This level is able to hold. You got room towards 116.76. If that level breaks, 118.81 will be tested on the upside. Unable to hold, 112.29 to 109.85 will be tested on the downside. Overall on PVH, going to be leading on the bullish side today, looking for a continuation push higher. If that pivot point can hold, we do have room to retest the, I guess, the top of the range is what I'm thinking. So we'll see if we can hold up and get that continuation push to the upside. Let's take a look at Amberella, which is right in the same wheelhouse in terms of price. Around 113.51. Nicer daily on the wow, this is a good looking chart. So we got a range break off the lows, EMA support all intact. Nice push back towards, I guess, the head and shoulders on the upside. So we got room to retest this morning. All right, let's take a look at this thing intraday here. This is a good looking chart. Daily is fantastic, in my opinion. Let's see if I can get out far enough to see that 119 level. I don't think I'm going to be able to. I can. There we go. All right, guys. So 114.13 pivot to the upside today. This level is able to hold. We do have room for continuation towards 116.72 to 119.31 on the upside. Unable to hold, look for a pullback towards the 110.43 to the 107.14 level on the downside. Overall on AMBA, looking or leaning on the bullish side today, looking for a continuation push higher if that pivot point can hold. So looking for a pivot point to hold and continuation push to the upside. So leaning bullish neutral, same as PVH. All right, let's take a screenshot of these two guys and let's move on to the next two. All right, next two, APPS, not APPS, Plan and Skills. Plan, SKLZ. All righty, let's take a look here. 69.35. A nice little gap up on that plan. I think this should be, I think that should suffice. So nice gap up on this plan, big gap up actually. 70.15 pivot to the upside today, levels able to hold. We got room towards the 73.13 to 75.04. Unable to hold, look for a pullback to 67.87 to the 64.69 on the downside. Overall, going to be leaning bullish neutral, but I'm looking for a pullback and a curl this morning. I think it's a pretty big gap up. I think there'll be some profit taking, and then we can look for that curl to occur on at some support for a push back towards the pivot and potentially break through it and next leg up. So that's what I'm thinking there, guys. So that is PLAN plan. That's plan. Let's take a look at skills, SKLZ. So we did have an EMA support reclaim yesterday. Nice little gap up because of that into the 50 EMA area, which is pretty much where we're testing right now in the pre-market. Yeah, we're literally testing it right now. Okay. Let's label all these resistance levels. This could get going. I mean, that's a nice chart. Let's take a look at this thing intraday. I'm actually going to label EMA support as well. All right, let's take a look at this thing here. Can I get burn levels? Yes, but I have to zoom out, so you can't really see the intraday chart, but it's important to see these levels anyways. All right, so pivot to the upside today. I guess we'll call it the 50 EMA because that's going to be a major resistance. So 1384 will be the pivot. This all was able to hold. We got room towards 1487. If that little breaks, we can see that 15. I have to just tell you what it is. 1568. Unable to hold, look for a pullback towards 1280 to 1181 on the downside. Overall on skills, going to be leaning on the bearish side today, looking for a pop topping out the gate. I do think it's going to come in a little bit, and then we can look for that base into occur if it's going to occur. But you know, hitting major resistance right now on the upside. Isn't really any news behind it, so I'm thinking on this big gap up, you're going to get some profit takers coming in. We'll see what happens. I could be, you know, certainly wrong. So that's plan. That is skills. Let's take a look at the spine of the fang. All righty. So let's take a look at what's going on with the market. So daily chart still looks beautiful, and I'm actually going to pop this up to the daily, as I like to do. Here she is. So what did we have yesterday on the SPY? Slightly extended, held that extension up well, basically to fill the gap, which will be filled today on the open. Pivot to the upside is going to be that 453 level. This level is able to hold. You got room towards 454.47 Fibonacci extension level to the 456.18. Unable to hold 451.52 to 450.68 will be tested on the downside. Overall in the market, leaning bullish neutral, looking for a continuation push to the upside today. beginning of the month, I think you're going to see the new money get put to work, and big caps continue to push, which should help push the market higher. But we'll see what happens, I guess. But I'm going to be leaning bullish neutral for now. I think the market did a great job of pulling that gap extension yesterday and staying within the range basically all day, bullishly consolidating, which is bullish. Apple. So Apple, same thing, was extended yesterday, pretty much filled that gap. 153.13 pivot to the upside today. Level holds 155.15 will be tested, unable to hold 151.66 to the 149.89 on the downside. Overall on Apple, leaning bullish, looking for a continuation push to the upside today. Amazon. I've been pounding the table on this for, I don't know, last 4 days, 5 days since last week, and on Twitter as well. And it's working. And our 3,500 calls are going to be in the money most likely today, which is sweet. So let's see here. Do I need more levels? I'll get this one right there. Oops. Much the same resistance, just a little bit easier to see. Well, that's important. That will act as the pivot point. Okay. Beauty. And I'm going to get one more level. Oops. We got some nice room on Amazon here, guys. So 3,500, 36, room that level breaks, 35.24 to 35.56 on the upside, unable to hold 34.73, 34.38. Obviously, pivot's going to be that 3,500 level on the upside. Meaning bullish, looking for a continuation push higher. Love the chart on the daily. I think we can get another leg up. Oops. Nice, run so far. Will it open up a little extended today? A little bit. I think we get a push out the gate. I probably will be selling most of those 3,500s into the push, and then if it pulls back, looking to roll once that gap's filled. The gap is all the way down towards 3,400 bucks. It looks like though. I'll have to reassess on the open because that will change, probably like 34.30, 34.40, something like that. But either way, leaning bullish out the gate, looking for a continuation push higher, and then I bet you we'll see some topping on the name. All right, so Netflix pivot upside 567.03 level holds. We got room towards 570. 256 to 574.88, unable to hold 557.39 on the downside, leaning bullish. Netflix not extended, looks great for a continuation push through this head and shoulders to the upside. I think that's going to be the magnet today for it to be tested, and that head and shoulders level is that 574.88. That's the upper end of it. So that's my target for now, and that's what I'll be looking for a retest of. All right, let's take a look at Netflix. Sorry, Facebook. So Facebook, a little bit of a gap down this morning. Definitely extended on the daily to the upside. You can see it right here. Pivot to the upside will be the 37.34. This level is able to hold. We do have room back towards 381.84. Unable to hold, we look for a pullback to 375.41 on the downside. Oops. Overall on Facebook, going to be leading on the bearish neutral side today, looking for a little bit of a pullback more towards that 375 level. And then once that gap's filled, I think you can get a curl push back to the upside. It's had a hell of a run the last couple of days. So not surprised it's getting a little extended to the upside. Google pivot So this thing is interesting because Google always seems to fill its gaps, but it did hold that extension yesterday. 28.90 pivot level holds 29.19, unable to hold 28.64, leading bullish neutral, looking for a grind higher back towards the recent range high, which is that 29.19 level today. All right, let's take a look at the VIX, the Qs, and the IWM. All right, what do we got? VIX, guys. So the pivot is going to be 1592 today. This level is unable to hold 1510, able to hold 1681. You can see the VIX is, kind of testing the bottom end of the range here. It has a little bit of room to go towards that 510 area. Market breaks out. Obviously, watch the VIX to break that pivot point to the downside. And then I think we should be able to get some continuation based off of that. I'm not leaning any direction on the VIX. As always, I just use it for direction on the market. So keep an eye on that pivot point today, guys. Super important. Let's take a look at the QQQs. The Qs, they were extended yesterday. They actually filled the gap, which is nice. They look better than the FANG, I can tell, than the SPY. I can tell you that. 388 pivot level holds room towards 383.43. Unable to hold 377.83 will be tested on the downside. Leading bullish, looking for a continuation push higher today on the Qs. And then last but not least, guys, let's take a look at the IWM. All right, IWM. So fill the gap, flagging on the daily. It's actually quite a nice chart. 77.54. Sorry, let's just do it like this. Easier. That's already labeled. There you go. That's what I want. All right, 227.49 pivot. Deleting this one. This level was able to hold. We got room towards this 228.85, unable to hold 226.06 on the downside. Leaning bullish on IWM, looking for the next leg up. So keep an eye on the smaller cap names today, guys. You get a nice little push there. All right, so that's the SPY, it's the FANG. Those are the individual names that we're looking at today. I'm going to go ahead and pass over to South Beach while I type up the pre-market action plan, guys. And I will talk to you shortly. South Beach, if you're ready, it's all yours.
Hey guys, good morning. Hump day. Let's see what we got going on today. Okay, so the 10 years at 1.295, down 0.007. I would think that's about the ADP employment numbers that came in 374 versus 613 expected. Okay, so this kind of hits the fear that I have about the market, right? I've been saying all along that the biggest problem in this market will not be inflation, it will be deflation. Okay, and rarely is the crowd right. Okay, and every schmuck you see on TV is talking about inflation. Never do they talk about deflation. Okay, so if this narrative of GDP growth doesn't come through, that's what could crush this market. Okay, not inflation. Inflation, we got a million tools to stop inflation. Okay, interest rates are effectively zero. Raise rates a little bit, that's the end of inflation. Okay, but deflation, they've been spending money like drunken sailors now for what, 2 years, trying to keep the economy afloat. Now, if we get deflation and the GDP growth narrative doesn't take place, what are they going to do then? Print more money, spend more money, give away more money? And you got these dopes in Washington trying to spend another, what, $5 trillion on infrastructure? So that's the fear. Okay, that's my fear anyway. So when I see a number like this, and I see the futures go up on that news, I say to myself, these guys are a bunch of dopes. But be it as it may, let's move on. Okay, so the 10 years at 1.29, So that's the fear, but it's not the narrative. The narrative now is we have rates at 129, no competition for equities. Equities are the best game in town. And even when they look terrible, they find a way to rally. Okay. So we're entering what is usually, I think it's the worst month of the year, historically. You know, you got to be a little careful. Now we're the first of the month, and the first 2 days of the month and the last 2 days of the month are historically the best because you have all these ESOPs, employee stock option plans and stuff like that. But we'll see what happens. For now, you know, the equity market is the best and really only game in town. Okay, so I'm bullish on the market, so don't get me wrong. I'm watching my fear. My fear is deflation, not inflation. Okay, and I'm just reiterating that to you guys. So let's look overseas and see what we got. We got the British 10-year minus 0.01, it's 0.70. The German 10-year is flat at minus 0.376. Remember, not too long ago, it was minus 0.54, I think it was. Italy don't care. France follows Germany. Japan 10-year is flat. You get the drift. Free money all over the globe, right? Okay. So that's that. Let's look at commodities. We have oil up a dime, unchanged effectively, and we're waiting for OPEC Plus to say they're going to add 400,000 barrels as per their last month's meeting said. Okay, we'll see what happens with that. Rarely do these guys just check a couple of boxes and go away. It's usually a whole long drawn out thing, but maybe it'll be different this time. Who knows? So oil's flat. Copper's down 8 cents. Okay, in the middle of the range. So very little movement, you know, on a lot of stuff. Okay, so that's been flat. And you got lumber kind of hanging out a little below 500 at 482, below pre-COVID levels. So that whole movement in lumber up to 1750 seems like a distant memory. Let's look at the currencies. US dollars down against North American currencies, flat against the yen, basically flat against the Chinese currency. There has been very little movement in the currency market as of the last month or so. And the euro's back up to 118, okay, 118.3. So flat for today, but it was at 117 for a bit. Okay, no real change, very flat. Crypto world, we got Bitcoin up 0.8% and Ethereum 3.5%. I've been telling you guys I do not like Bitcoin. I do like Ethereum only because Bitcoin really doesn't do anything. Ethereum does. And let's look at the foreign markets, see how they stand, okay? We have the FTSE up 0.5%, 43 points. DAX up 1.18 at 28 points. Nikkei's up 1%. Hong Kong, China's flat. And Hong Kong is up 0.5%. Is that China number right? It might not be. China's up about 0.75%. So that's that. Okay. So banks, Fed. I don't think we're going to hear from the Fed for a bit. They're going to sit back. We know where they stand. They gave us our, you know, their game plan at the Jackson Hole meeting, and the market likes it. Okay. China came out with some stuff today. We'll go over later, but nothing. The latest thing is what kids can't play video games except Friday, Saturday, Sunday for an hour a day, and on holidays 1 hour a day. How do you think that would work in this country? Let's see what else we got. We got crypto, we discussed, oil, we discussed, the virus. I don't see any change really. Same old, right? Nothing really changing there. Hearing people getting a lot of booster shots. Can't hurt, right? And you had 2 guys from the FDA quit. I think it had something to do with the booster shots, but who knows? The dollar we discussed, and looking at Mr. Market yesterday. Yesterday was a really tough day to trade, guys. Very spastic moves. Group rotation was not very pure. So it was a tough day. You can't bang the keys when the market's tough. You got to learn to resist. And that's a talent. It's a talent to sit here and do nothing. I assure you. Okay, I've seen a lot of traders over the years unable to take their foot off the gas pedal. Okay, and they all went out of business. Okay, you have to know when to push and you have to know when to fall back. Okay, it's a talent you'll learn over time. Most of you know it, but some of you don't. And when you're choppy and thin markets and there's no real direction, you got to take your fingers off the buttons. That simple. Okay, I've seen it a million times. Okay, with very talented guys. But looking at yesterday's market, what did we have? The Dow was basically flat. NASDAQ, everything was kind of flat. Okay, SPYs closed flat, but they were jerking around what, -7, up 5, like in there the whole day. So on the long side, we had airlines. China had a good day. Entertainment stocks had a good day. Insurance and restaurant stocks. And on the short side, we had retail, semis, REITs, IPE tech, and what else was there? And pharma. And that's not REITs, that's retail. I can't read my own writing. That's how bad it is. Okay, so that's what we had yesterday. Okay, today, it's going to be choppy again, guys. So be prepared for that. But we do have those ESOPs coming through, so maybe we'll get a little bit of a push. We'll have to watch the long bond. My guess is, based on the number I just saw, banks should be in a headwind, as should insurance stocks, and it's probably positive for high PE tech, semiconductor type names, and the FANGs. Okay, so let's see how that goes from the get-go. I do think material stocks on that news will be a little heavy as well. Okay, so heavy side, banks, insurance, materials. On the bullish side, I'm thinking high PE tech, semis, FANG, like that. Now this is, in China maybe, but this is all subject to institutional flow. It's, like when I trade in the morning, it's, just a toe in the water, and I'm trying to get a feel for the narrative in the US, and I'll jump on that narrative if it's clear. So that's how I trade. That's my preconceived notion. Let's move on to what the news of the day. We had positive numbers in AMBA, Con, Phillips Van Heusen, Campbell's, and PLAN. All right, Macau revenues, they're saying, is up 234% year over year. I'm not really sure what that number means because they were closed last year. So it's hard to get a whole handle on that. McDonald's, Oregon, asking 14-year-olds to apply because of the labor shortage. That's pretty amazing, don't you think? 14-year-olds. Think about that for a minute. I mean, when I was 14, I was caddying, but that was fun. Anyway, Amazon to add 55,000 corporate and tech jobs in the next few months. These guys are unbelievable, huh? Walmart to offer grocery delivery in New York City. Not a lot of news, so that's what we got, right? On the short side, on the numbers, we had PYCR, Crowd, which really wasn't bad, and DY, I think it says here, okay? This was interesting. Business travel survey, 85% of the largest companies plan to spend less on air travel in the future, okay? Which makes a lot of sense, okay? Makes a lot of sense. I don't think that genie is ever going back in the bottle as far as business travel. It's going to be, I think significantly less than it was pre-pandemic. ASND is doing a $400 million offering. XPEV, they talked about delivery in China. So XPEV is getting hit on that. Okay, and NEO, their numbers came out as well. CID, the lockup expired, and they're smacking that stock. I'd keep an eye on that one. Okay. And what else? That's it in the news, right? Okay, so what else do we have? We have research. What do we have there? Not much, guys. Facebook was downgraded by Rosenblatt. I actually like Rosenblatt Research. They're saying that they have more competition in the ad space, and some new rules that came out by the IDFA, never heard of these people, favors the Snapchat and TikTok and those kinds of platforms over Facebook for advertising. I can't see that being the case, but whatever. I think Instagram is probably the greatest place to advertise there is, but what do I know? Wolf, they initiated coverage of a lot of these EV type names. On the short side, they initiated Ballard Power with a sell. Target 16, stock 1680, that's a non-trade. LMRK, equal weight to sell over at Raymond James. I think that's a non-trade. And Detroit Edison was downgraded to equal weight by Wells Fargo. I believe that's a non-trade. Okay. On the long side, what do we have? Susquehanna likes Boeing, target 300. Okay, so that's interesting. This OGN spinoff from Merck, which I told you I've been long and I liked. I think I told you at what, 28 bucks or something like that. Where is it now? 34. Bank of America has a 43 target on that. Thought that was interesting. JP Morgan likes Run. They have liked it. They just reiterated and they put it on a focus list because it hasn't been going up. Okay, so they have an 86 target, stock's 44 bucks. All the guys commented on Crowd. To a man, they like the stock. Okay, so targets range anywhere from what, 280 to 350. I think I saw. If it goes green, I'll buy it. That's how I'll look at it. Or maybe I'll just use the opening as the line. I have to play. I have to feel my way through this one. But here, 325 at UBS, 315 at RBC, 330 at Canaccord, 315 at Stifel, 305 at Goldman, 320 at Deutsche Bank, yada, yada, yada. You got it. Okay. Everybody likes AMBA as well. Stifel has a target. They take it from 140 to 145. Stocks up this morning on earnings. So they're all talking about AMBA today. And that's that. Let's see. Raymond James likes this NOG. Strong buy on that one. This call intrigued me. RLGY equal to outperform, target 18 to 28. The PE ratio that they used, it wasn't just PE. They used some kind of valuation model. It wasn't a PE model. Let me see if I can find what it was, but it was like PE over EBITDA, some crap like that. But that's how they value the stock, and they say it's the lowest of all time. And the problems that kept the stock in the dumps are over, so they should have a higher valuation. They're saying. Okay, Wells Fargo. A bunch of guys talked about that. Deutsche Bank takes their target from 48 to 55. Oh boy, so this stock got smashed yesterday on that news that the Fed wasn't happy with the way they were compensating people for the problems they had in the past. I mean, they have a really good CEO. If they slap their wrist and the stock gets hit, I'll be all over it. Okay, so we'll see what happens. Okay, but all they got to do is start writing checks. I think the problem is they got to figure out how to compensate fairly, but we'll see. Anything else here? Reiterate DLX at Cowen, target 55, stock's 38. I mean, I look at this stock. What I do is I'll look at a stock and I'll read the research report and I'll say, okay, this looks good. And then I'll look at the chart, and the charts don't get much worse than this one, in my opinion. So I wouldn't touch this stock with a 10-foot pole. Okay, stock looks like garbage. I think the analyst is probably wrong. Brenberg, whatever their name is, they like Corteva, target 58. Who's this? Piper talked about these mall REITs. SPG, they take the target up to 160. I think we were in that at what? God knows what price. I'm thinking a little less than 60. Skin, they like this one. This is an interesting stock. Really smart SPAC stock. Target up to 33. And the other office REITs that retail REITs they like are BXP, CPT, BRX. I hate trading those stocks, guys. They're just too freaking boring. That's really it for the research. Morgan Stanley likes Sam David, George Robert. Okay, target 82, stocks 59. I say that's about it on the research. Yeah. Okay, what else was there? Kathy, she's keeps second day in a row NNDM. She bought 500,000 shares of that. She bought this MKFG, which we've gone over 1 billion times. She keeps buying this GENI and Fate. She bought more Hood, Robinhood, 260,000. And that stock she sells every day that I was talking about yesterday, MCRB, and she got smashed in it. She lost another 600,000 shares of that one. And she's selling some stock called Zogan every day, 1 million shares of that. I assume it's an Asian stock. Thoughts on LCID? I'm inclined to like this stock, guys. If it's going down and the only reason is the lockup, okay, listen, if I was in this stock and I had stock prior to the lockup, like I was an initial investor, you can bet your ass that I could have sold at any time prior to the lockup. I could have bought puts. I could have shorted against the box. I could have done a million things. So this stock being down 4 in the lockup, when most of the people probably are like me and figured out a way to get out of the stock had they wanted to, seems like an overdone situation. And my inclination is to watch it and let it do its thing and figure out when the selling's over. I'm talking about LCID. I mean, you're telling me you can't get out of a stock pre-lockup? No, I don't buy it. I don't buy it. There's so many vehicles that you can use. It's stupid. You can call Goldman Sachs tomorrow and say, I have 1 million shares of LCID. I'm locked up and let's work out a deal. And they'll be happy to do it. They want to make 15% on every investment and lock it in that way. And that's the way things work. Period. End of story. All right. Anyway, I'm out of time, guys. So I'm going to hand it over to Spartan. And let's make some money, guys. Spartan, it's all yours. Don't overtrade today, guys. Your turn, buddy.
All righty, thank you, South Beach. Guys, morning, what's going on? Let's do a quick little recap of what we talked about this morning here. I'm just going to quickly, there we go, fix that. All righty, so let's talk about what we talked about this morning. Let's quickly just bring up the pre-market tickers that we're looking at and go through all this. So if you guys are watching the YouTube stream, you can just pause this, read this if you want. No worries there. Pause that, you can read that. There you go. All the charts are posted, as you can see. I'll click on the option section as well, so you can take a look at that. Oops. There you are. Options. There's all the options that Beth is broken down for the open as well. Okay, let's take a look at the pre-market tickers. I'll watch what we got actually going on today. So mRNA, crowd, sorry, mRNA, crowd, PVH, AMBA, plan, skills, mRNA gapping up acidity with the market. Crowd earnings beat, EPS and revs year-over-year growth 69.7%. Q3 guidance, EPS lowered and rev in line. 2022 guidance raised, stocks gapping down. PVH earnings beat, EPS and revs year-over-year growth 46.3%. Q3 guidance raised, 2021 guidance raised, stocks gapping up. Ambarella earnings beat, EPS and revs year-over-year growth 58.3%. Q3 guidance rev raised. Plan earnings beat, EPS and revs year-over-year growth 35.5%. Q3 guidance and 2021 guidance raised. Skills being pushed after reclaiming short-term EMA support to close yesterday. And basically, we'll take a look at these names from a technical standpoint now intraday. So first two we're going to be looking at, guys, is mRNA, crowd. Let's take a look at these two. So mRNA and crowd. Let's take again, at these. Oops, let me throw mRNA up first, actually. There she is. All right, so mRNA downturn break in the short term on the hourly chart looks good in that regard. 380, 385 pivot levels able to hold. 392.36 to 399.51 will be tested. Unable to hold. 371.15 to 359.62 on the downside will be tested. Overall, on mRNA leaning bullish, looking for a continuation push higher today if that pivot point is able to hold. So basically looking for a reclaim of the pivot, continuation push higher. Crowd 270, 276 pivot levels able to hold. 277.64 to 282.31 will be tested. Unable to hold. 268.95 to 265.29 on the downside will be tested. Overall on crowd, going to be leaning bullish neutral, looking for a curl off the lows and then a continuation push higher today. So we'll see what happens in that regard. Let's take a look at the next two, which are PVH and Amberella. So PVH 114.27 pivot levels able to hold. 116.76 to 118.81 will be tested. Unable to hold, we look for a pullback on the name into 120, 112.29 to 109.85 on the downside. Overall on PVH leaning bullish, looking for a continuation push higher today. Amberella pivot upside 114.13 level hold. 116.72 to the 119.31 will be tested. Unable to hold, look for a pullback towards 110.43 to 107.14 on the downside. Overall on Amberella, going to be leaning bullish, neutral, looking for a continuation push higher today. Plan and skills. So plan pivot to the upside today, guys, is going to be 70.15 level hold. 73.13 to 75.04 will be tested. Unable to hold. 67.87 to 64.69 on the downside will be tested. Overall on plan leaning bullish neutral, but looking for a pull and then a curl for a push back to the upside. Skills pivot skills pivot to the upside is going to be that 1384 level. Levels able to hold 1487 to 1568. Unable to hold 1280, 1181. Going to be leaning bearish out the gate, looking for a pop and topping to come in, and then we can see what's what after we get a little bit of a pullback this morning on that skills. Let's take a look at the SPY and the FANG. SPY pivot to the upside today. 453.01 level holds. 454.47 to 456.18 will be tested. Unable to hold. 451.52 to 450.68 on the downside. Overall on the SPY, and I should be typing this up actually. Let me just quickly do that. Going to be leaning bullish neutral SPY. 453.01 pivot to the upside today. So holds from higher into the 454.47 resistance. Breaks, we see the 456.18 level tested. Pivot unable to hold from lower into the 451.52 support. Breaks, we see the 450.71 level tested. Leaning bullish neutral on the market, like I said. All right, let's take a look at Apple. Apple pivot to the upside today, guys. It's going to be the 153.13 level. Levels able to hold. We got room towards 155.15. Unable to hold 151.66 to 149.89 will be tested on the downside. Overall on Apple, going to be leaning bullish, looking for a continuation push higher today. Let's take a look at Amazon. $3,536. Pivot to the upside, levels able to hold 35.24 to 35.56, unable to hold 34.73 to 34.38 on the downside. Overall on Amazon, leaning bullish, neutral, looking bullish, I should say, looking for a continuation pop out the gate, and then I think we will see a little bit of topping and a pullback. So that is Amazon. Let's take a look at Netflix. Netflix pivot to the upside, guys, is going to be the 567.03 level holds. 572.56 to 574.88 will be tested. Unable to hold, we look for a pullback towards 557.39 to 545.50 on the downside. Overall on and FLX leaning bullish, neutral, looking for a continuation grind higher today. Facebook, a little bit extended on the daily, still pivot to the downside, 377.34, unable to hold 375.41, 372.98. Will be tested, able to hold 381.48, 384.89 on the upside. Overall on Facebook, leaning bullish, or sorry, leaning bearish, neutral, looking for a gap fill, and then we can see what's what after that. Google. Pivot to the upside today is going to be the 28.90. Levels able to hold 29.19 will be tested. Unable to hold 28.64 to 28.41 on the downside. Overall, Google leaning bullish, neutral, looking for a continuation grind higher back towards the recent range high. Let's take a look at the VIX. VIX, guys, pivot to the upside is going to be the 1592 spot. Levels unable to hold 1510, able to hold 1681, 1780 on the upside. And overall on the VIX, it's going to be leaning on the so not leaning any direction, but using it for direction on the market, I should say. QQQs, pivot to the upside is going to be the 380.80. Levels able to hold 383.43, unable to hold 377.83 on the downside will be tested. And overall on the Qs, going to be leaning on the bullish neutral side today, looking for a continuation push higher. IWM, pivot to the upside, 227.49. Able to hold 228.85 will be tested, unable to hold 226.06, 224.75 on the downside, leading bullish on IWM. It is flagging on the daily, gap's been filled, it's been bullishly consolidating, looking for the next leg up. So that's the SPY, that is the thing. Those are the individual names that we're looking at today, guys. Thanks for popping in on the YouTube stream. We do this every single week, as you guys know. So see you guys next week. Otherwise, yeah, thanks for watching. See you guys later. If you